this video, I'm going to have a look at the compound interest formula and the different calculations that we can do with that. So the things that we can do, we can solve for A, we can solve for P, we can solve for I, and we can solve for N. So our compound interest formula, we're going to use this down here anyway. All right, here is A equals P outside of 1 plus I to the N. You might see variations of that where they have an I over K, where they're changing it if it's not compounding annually. But I'm going to show you how I do it so that I don't have to worry about those differences in the formula. So down the side, I always write my A, P, I, and N. So my A in this one, I don't know. So I'm going to put a little question mark. My P is my 2000. So I write that down. My I, now this is where I do my little alterations here that I need. So I know that it's 4.4%. So I'll write that as 0.04, but it's compounding quarterly. So I need to divide that by 4. So that will be 0.01. If you're not sure what that will be, do the division on your calculator. So divide by 4. Now my N, we've got 5 years, but because we're compounding quarterly, we need to change that to quarters. So we're going to times that by 4 and we get 20. Notice that I've divided by 4 here and multiplied by 4 there. Now I'm going to sub that into my rule. So I've got P, which is 2000, outside of 1 plus, and I've got 0.01 there. And then I'm raising that to a power of 20. So putting that into my calculator, I can actually do that all in one go. I can put that all into my calculator in one line. So I can do my 2000 and I can put that bracket. This works on the scientific calculators as well. 1 plus 0.01, and I'm raising it to a power of 20. Now when I raise it to a power of 20, I can't just put the 20 there. I need to put the up arrow and then 20. And get rid of that one there. And when I press that in, I will get 2440.38. And that will be dollars. So after 5 years, compounding quarterly, that's the amount that I will get. If I wanted to know the interest, I would simply take the $2,000 away from there, and that would tell me how much of that amount was the interest that I'd earned. The next type is where you can find out how much you must have invested to get that amount of money. So you're finding the P. So when we write our A equals P equals I equals N equals down the side, our A we now know. We know the 10,000. Our P we don't know, so we're putting a question mark there. Our I we know is 6% compounding monthly. So I write the 0.06, but I have to divide by 12 because I'm compounding monthly. So I'll do my 0.06 divided by 12 and I'll get my 0.005 there. Then I've got my N, which is 4 years, but it is monthly. So I'm going to do 4 times 12 is 48 months. So now I'm going to put that into my rule. So I'll write my A equals P outside of 1 plus I to the N. And I'm going to put those values in that I know. So now I've got the 10,000 on this side is P outside of 1 plus 0.005 to the power of 48. And then I'll grab my calculator and I'll type that in. So I'm just going to work out this bracket part of it. So I've got 1.005 to the power of 48, and I get 1.27. So I know that P times 1.27, and keep those decimals in your calculator. They're actually decimals that come after it, and then you can use your calculator to get the rest of those when you do the next step. So now we know P times 1.27 is 10,000. To get the P on its own, we're going to do 10,000 divided by 1.27. So I've got those decimals still in my calculator, so I'm going to do the 10,000 divided by and just use the answer key there to bring that number down, and I get 7870.98 dollars. So you must have invested that amount to get the 10,000 out at the end. Now the third type is what the interest rate must have been. So at what interest rate would you need to invest $1,000 at to get $3,000 after 20 years? So this time I'm solving for my I. So I'm going to do the same thing again. My A, PIN down the side. So my A is equal to 3,000. My P is equal to 1,000. My I don't know, so I'll put a question mark. And my N is equal to 20 years. Now in this case, we're compounding annually, so we don't need to change anything there. So I'll write my rule, A equals P outside of 1 plus I to the N. I'm then going to pop in what I know. I've got my 3,000 on that side, my 1,000 on that side, and 1 plus I to the power of 20. Now my first step will be to divide by the 1,000, so that's going to give me a 3 here, is 1 plus I to the power of 20. Now to undo the power of 20, I'm going to go 3 to the 1 over 20. And that's going to give me what 1 plus I is. So I'm going to grab my calculator. I'm going to go 3 to the power of 1 divided by 20. And I get 1.056. And there's a few decimals after there. I'm leaving that in my calculator because then I'm going to do my take away 1 step. And I get my I is equal to 0.056 ... Now that's just as a decimal. To get it to a percentage, I'll times by 100 and I get 5.6, and I'm going to round it now. So I've got 5.64, but the next number is 6, so I'll round that to 5.65. Just go to 2 decimal places, and that's my my interest rate that must have been at to have earned that amount of money. Now the last type is when we've got how long would it take for $500 to double if it's invested at 7% compounding annually. So we start with our same again, APIN. Now if we start with $500 and it doubles, we would have to get to $1,000. Then we've got our I is 7% or 0.07. It's compounding annually, so I don't need to change that. And then my N is what I'm working out. So I'm going to write my A equals P outside of 1 plus I to the N. I'm then going to put in what I know. So I've got my 1,000 is equal to 500 outside of 1 plus 0.07 to the power of N. And now I'm going to do the divided by 500. So I get 2 is equal to 1.07 to the power of N. Now, this is where in the general maths course you don't know logs, so you can't use logs to solve it. If you were using logs, over to the side here, we would just do log of 2 is equal to log of 1.07 to the N. We would bring down that N. And then to get our N on its own, we would do log 2 over log of 1.07. We would grab our calculator. And we will get 10.24. So then we would round that to 11. Over here we don't have that option when we're using what we know in the general maths course. So then we are just going to try different values. So we might go, okay, what does 1.07 to the power of 5 equal? And we go, okay, well that's 1.4. So not close enough to 2 yet. So then we can try to do a bigger number. So we might go to the power of 20. Or you might keep going up in ones if you want. And we get 3.86. And so that's too big. So then we would come down and you would work your way till you got as close to 2 as you could. And then round to the nearest year. So you should get the 11 as your answer there. So when we type in 2 to the power of 10, 1.07 to the power of 10, you would see that it's 1.96. When we do 1.07 to the power of 11, you'll see that it's gone over the 2. So if we're wanting to double our money, we need to get at least that. So we're having to go to the next one, which is the 11. Okay, hope that helps you with your compound interest skills.